ba 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 ba. Oh man. Hello everyone and welcome back to a live edition of Talking Tongue. It's always live here. My I don't even know if I'm allowed to use the theme song to Game of Thrones now that I think about it. I feel like the live video will be instantly pulled for me using it, but oh well. We'll see how it goes. HBO, come on, just hire me already. We can do Talking Tongue, the HBO show. But welcome to a brand new edition of Talking Tongue, like I said. And yeah, this is really exciting. End of an era, if you will. Game of Thrones is over. Avengers is over. I hear Big Bang Theory is over. Everything's over. Thank God, Big Bang Theory's over. But yes, we wanted to dedicate a special episode of Talking Tongue just for Game of Thrones because it's such a monumental thing that's ending. I mean, people have plenty of opinions of this season, and because of that, we need its own episode. So I'm really excited to get into it with you folks. Just want to make sure the stream is working, so give me a second. I can't tell if it's working or not. I'm going to assume it is. But we have today some callers. We're doing this new thing. We're calling in people from all around the multiverse, and they're gonna join into some discussions. So I'm excited to see who calls into the show. But if you want to call into the show, I have my Discord little setup here. So we're experimenting today. But like I said, talking about Game of Thrones, here it is. Look at this beautiful Photoshop that I've done on Premiere Pro. I can't use Photoshop, so I'm using a video editing program to do some nice little Photoshop here. And yeah, okay, let's get into it. Oh, hang on. I think I hear a caller. Oh my God, hang on. Is this? I don't even know if this is possible. Let me a second. Hang on. Yes, caller. Hello, Angus.
Hey, buddy, how's it going?
Oh wow, I can't believe that worked.
Yeah, I'm shocked.
Honestly, I didn't expect you to call into the show so soon. I mean, we haven't.
Oh no, I called right away. Yeah,
oh,
I called
you did?
right away.
Oh, I hung up on you immediately. It sounds like. Well, Angus, thanks for calling into the show.
Hey, no problem, man.
Oh, okay, let's get into it. Hold on, hang on. I hear my echo somewhere. Is that from you, or is that?
I don't
My
think
bad.
so.
That was me.
Oh,
that was me.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Another caller came in. Hang on. Oh my God. Hang on. What is happening here? Is that Samantha Leggett? Is she into the
Sounds like it.
Oh my.
Already. My bad.
That is hilarious. Sam, you already ruined the show by doing that. Of course. Oh my God. That is hilarious. Well, thank you, friends, for calling in. I totally suspect we'll have more callers by the end of the show. Wink, wink. We already know we have two other people waiting, but let's introduce them later. Friends, how are you? What do you guys think about the finale of Game of Thrones? Before spoilers, what are your general thoughts on it?
Wait, is it just me now? There's no Sam?
Are we allowed to talk?
Yeah, let's talk. Let's talk feelings. Let's talk feelings. Yeah.
Go for it, Angus.
I like the last episode. I thought it was fine.
Yeah, that's fine. Sam, did you enjoy the last episode?
Sorry, 1 sec. I think I muted the wrong.
Yeah, I enjoyed it more than I thought I would, and as much as a season 8 enjoyment level goes, I have my issues, which I'm sure you'll dive into later. But all in all, I wasn't super mad. I was only like somewhat.
Like half,
I was okay.
half
I
mad?
was okay.
You're half mad?
Yeah.
I was expecting to be more mad, and I actually wasn't. So I don't want to shit on it.
I was too.
Yeah, I completely agree with this. I've been very critical of this season. So has a lot of people.
Well, this season has sucked. This season has been pretty bad.
Okay, I'm excited to talk about that with you. I will argue. Actually, I don't want to argue too much because I think it definitely has a ton of flaws. But the way they wrapped it up with what they had, I was pretty satisfied enough, I suppose.
That's the thing. Enough of the character stories ended in ways that I enjoyed. Yeah.
Interesting. I think we just got another caller in here. Their name's Tyrion Lannister, so I don't know who that is.
I think
I don't think it's Peter Dinklage.
We should have set up multiple rooms.
We should have set. I should have set up multiple rooms.
No.
I don't know how this app works.
Guys, everything's going smooth. There is no train wreck happening right now in the Pod Tavern.
This is great.
But this is fun. I think I'm getting another call in, so just give me a second here.
Can I give a quote to start off this thing?
Yeah.
Sure.
It's not about Game of Thrones, but just in general, I've been thinking about it a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, it relates, I swear. It's
Okay.
like, I was reading this book, and they said it's so much easier for people to get excited about disliking something than agreeing to like it. And I feel like this season has, like, got a bit of both of that going on, you know? Like, people love to hate it, and it's kind of funny, but, like, you don't want to shit on it too hard.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
It's like a balance we're trying to hit here.
I think so too, and I think it's insane that some people are like, "Oh, what are they? DB Wise? Is it? Yeah, no, David Bainoff and DB Wise. They're supposed to helm the next series of for Star Wars, in fact, and people are like, "Oh my God, they ruined Game of Thrones. Like, I'll never trust them with anything." But I think that's a ridiculous prospect since they've gave us most of it was pure joy, and even the last season with gripes and all. It was fine.
Yeah.
Disappointing, but fine.
Man, there's enough good stuff to just talk about good stuff, really.
Yeah,
I think
so.
And I think it would be a little too easy this early on. Like, I have a feeling we're gonna have different feelings about it in a couple months, and I'm not sure if they'll change more for the positive or for the lesser of it. I think.
Right.
I think to expect it to have pulled off a flawless ending we might have been asking a bit much as fans, but
I think the Game of Thrones fandom is kind of like that, like the fact that they can't theorize on something anymore is because that's the whole thing with Game of Thrones, right? You're just theorizing, and the fact that you can't do it anymore, or the theory was wrong. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Got people really angry. Hold on. I'm getting a call here. It's just oh jeez. Oh my God. It's the Metal Gear sound. Hang on. Yes, caller. Who am I speaking to?
Yeah, this is Snake.
Oh boy. Oh jeez. Is that Snake? Ethan, are you posing as Snake right now?
You guys got me.
Ethan Howson, everyone. Holy jeez. This.
Hey, how's it going?
How unexpected of you to arrive.
I just decided to drop in, see what all the fuss is about.
Hey man, that's insane. How are you, by the way?
I'm fantastic, man. How are you?
And how are you after this latest episode of Game of Thrones?
Less or so, I guess. But I think I'm kind of with Angus and Sam on this one. Like, I didn't really mind this episode, and in terms of my expectations, like for the whole season, like what I was expecting of the last episode, it kind of met those expectations.
Right.
But it's not like it wasn't fantastic on Game of Thrones standards, I've come to think of.
The second last episode, which I think maybe is the most divisive episode of the season, is when we see, can we get into specifics? Is it safe to finally say stuff now?
Hang on. Let me bring in one more caller because I have one more. Because we have callers up the wazoo right now, and I cannot stop. I have to filter them, Angus. I don't know if you knew this.
I didn't know that.
There's a bouncer at the caller door, which I was not expecting. But anyways, let's bring in this next caller here. Yes, caller.
Hello, am I on? Can you hear me? Did I make it to the radio?
Yes.
Hey, you're live on Talkin Tuong. Hi. Hey, this is gonna be fun, guys. I can already tell.
I've been calling for 30 minutes.
You've been calling for 30 minutes. Wow, that's impressive, man. Well, thanks for sticking through. Because you've been staying for 30 minutes, you get a prize. You get Jaime Lannister's golden hand replica of that. There you go. Let's see. I'll give prizes for everyone. Angus, you get Ramsay Bolton's sausage that he eats in that one episode.
Thank you.
Ethan, you get let's see here. You get the crossbow from the Lannisters.
Sick.
That's pretty cool. Sam, you get the toilet that Tywin dies on.
Some bullshit.
That's right. That's why I gave you the toilet. And yeah, that's everybody, I think. Okay, guys, before we get into. Okay, go ahead.
We're missing one caller here, I think.
You really are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's the caller I'm missing? Am I
There's
missing
some guy claiming to be Tyrion Lannister who keeps trying to get on the line. I don't know. He's
Tyrion
Is that
Lannister? Tyrion Lannister, you're live.
Hello, Tongue. It's me, Tyrion Lannister, live from the Red Keep.
Oh man, Tyrion Lannister. Holy jeez, how do you feel? How are you feeling right now?
I feel great, Tongue. I've just put on my sunglasses and poured myself a tankard of wine.
a tankard of wine. Wow.
tankard of
normal for
wine,
beer, but
Tongue.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess spoilers, but how does it feel to be Hand of the King again for the third time?
You know what? I went for the three-peat and I got it, and I'm so excited. I'm hoping that locks me into like a full-time deal this time. Enough of this part-time shit.
I thought you
Sign
didn't
this
want
Yeah.
it.
man.
Yeah.
Oh, you know, I say a lot of things. I mean, Jamie famously said that he didn't care much about the people in King's Land.
Yeah,
That, you know, for a fact, he's false.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
right?
Anyway, things are going good here. I'm told we did find the dragon. I know everyone was concerned.
Uh-huh. So where was the dragon hanging around this entire time?
Look, the dragon got into some shit. Okay, the dragon is not doing too well health-wise.
Drugs?
We found him at a Popeyes, back of a Popeyes chicken.
Oh jeez, he's really going downhill, eh?
Damn, he was juicing.
Yeah.
He was juicing.
Wow. Wow.
Popeye supplements.
That's right.
Well, Tyrion, I really thank you for calling. I mean, I know you're a really
It's
busy
my
person.
pleasure, Tongue. It's my absolute pleasure.
One last question for you. Now that you're Hand of the King for the third time, does the Pod Cavern get to be one of the 6 or 7 realms that exist in your world?
Yeah, we're replacing Essos with Podcavern.
Oh wow.
Yeah, no one gives a fuck about Essos.
That's true.
We're
That's
replacing it
Thank-
with the
A
Podcavern.
true
Anyway,
statement.
I got to go, Tongue.
Okay,
Gotta
thank
go
you.
try and get this dragon back on order, get its life back together. You know what I'm saying?
okay. Thank you, Tyrion.
Okay, Tongue. Have a good one.
Okay.
Listen to the improv puncher.
What?
What?
Wow, I
Oh,
oh, Tyrion,
jeez.
Tyrion
Oh.
Lannister next on Improv Punch Up.
Holy
Yeah.
jeez, that's great. Did you guys notice that Tyrion Lannister sounded a lot different this time around? Sounds,
did.
I don't know. Maybe he's juicing himself here.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, enough of this funny business here. Hang on. Is there someone
Hi.
else that entered the call? Oh my god! Hello, is caller.
Hi.
Is this
Hi.
Victoria
It
Luloff? Hi.
Yeah. Hi.
Oh,
I'm
welcome.
camped out at a softball park in Vanier, but I figured out how to get on this call. Hi guys.
This is insane. This is so funny. We've been live for about 10 minutes and talked barely anything about Game of Thrones. But this
Oh,
is
good, good.
But
I had to like figure out these apps and stuff. So here we go.
Well, Victoria, I'm sad for you to hear this, but Tyrion Lannister just left the call. So
Thank God.
yeah,
Yeah.
he
No, I'm
got-
really.
That's a hot take.
You don't like Tyrion
That is a
Lannister.
hot take. Yeah.
Victoria, because you're a busy person and all, we want to get your opinion first here, okay?
Okay.
What
sure.
is your thoughts on this Game of Thrones season 8 as a whole? And maybe what did you think of the last episode in particular?
Oh, okay. Well, here's the thing. I feel like we're spoiled with storyline because I'm a huge fan of fan fiction and fan theories and theory videos and just like all of it. That I'm kind of okay with it not being perfect, which I
Okay.
know isn't necessarily a popular opinion. I think that they definitely needed at least another 4 episodes if they were gonna do any kind of justice to the storylines and wrapping everything up. They needed at least like 4 more. But I mean, we got what we got. For the most part, I was pretty satisfied with a lot of the deaths. Like Cersei and Jaime, at first I was pissed, but really I'm kind of okay with it.
Yeah, let's unpack that a little bit for
Yeah.
everyone else in this call here. I guess we are talking about this season now, like in full. So let's since Victoria already brought up some deaths here, what did we
Oh,
think
shit.
about? No, that's fine. Let's talk
Okay.
about Cersei and Jaime and their arcs and how you guys felt about their conclusion here. Anyone can start.
I
Yeah,
would. I. Oh, Sorry, I don't
Yeah,
know how this
I
works.
think you bring up a
I
good
was just
point.
gonna kind of more or less agree that I hated it at first, and the more I sit on it, the more I'm like, yeah, I guess like it makes her human, and then he did what he did or whatever. I feel like this whole season is the more I sit on it, the more I'm like, yeah, I buy it. Like I agree. Like 4 more episodes to sell it to me would have been nice.
Yeah,
but it's like it's the
absolutely.
decision.
Yeah,
It's not the
absolutely.
decision I'm mad at. It's just like how it played out, right? So
Yes.
I mean, it
That's
felt
right.
abrupt, and I was pretty upset when it happened. I was like, what the fuck? But like now that I'm sitting, I'm like, oh, okay, well, sure.
Sure.
Yeah, totally. Like so many of the things that we felt like they planted seeds for in earlier seasons or at the beginning of this season, they just didn't have enough time to sell me on it, because they were like full on 180s and some of like what it felt like 180s in some of these characters' arcs.
I think that's a universal feeling that everybody has towards this season is the arbitrary 6 episodes, like nobody apparently these guys had the budget for 10 episodes or however many episodes they wanted to do, and they're like, yeah, you know what, we're gonna do them in 6, and some of them will be feature length, an hour and a half. But I know, Angus, you have a feeling about the hour and a half length of these episodes. What do you feel about that?
I think maybe save for the last episode, none of them felt like they really needed to be that long.
No,
Yeah.
I agree.
Perhaps the worst offender of that is the Battle at Winterfell, which was a cinematic spectacle, but fell short, I think, in a lot of storytelling ways.
Mhm.
But it certainly we didn't need to cut back to yet another group of our heroes being overwhelmed by zombies for like the 6th time. It felt like a lot of it was filler.
They're called whites, Angus.
Oh, well, they are. So
yeah, that's right. That's all I have to add to that conversation.
I got a beef with that episode.
What's that?
No, I was just gonna say the Battle of Winterfell is probably. I got a real beef with that episode for sure.
Yeah.
But maybe we can talk about that later.
Yeah.
Well, but like
that's...
considering how few deaths there were while they were being mobbed by zombies, we didn't need to cut back to it that much. Like,
Exactly.
like it didn't move anything along. It was just spectacle.
Yeah, it was just it'd be like it's like manufactured tension that the 3rd or 4th time we saw it didn't sell it for us, I would say, as viewers as a whole.
That's right.
And I think there was a lot of manufactured tension throughout like those middle episodes of the season. Like, I feel like the whole killing of Regal was just like, oh, it was like one dragon did the job, so why did you need to kill the other one?
That part shocked me a lot, and then the more I thought about it, the more I was like, oh, it doesn't really make any sense. Like, why did they
you're right. And her plan.
Well, no, they needed to do it. They needed to piss her off as quickly and as effectively as possible to justify what she was gonna do.
Okay,
Yeah.
You know what? I think we're there. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how everyone feels about the twist in the show and how they handled it. Let's go through that. So I'll go first, I guess, and I'll say the whole spoilers. Although you're listening to the spoiler episode, Dany goes mad. She becomes the Mad Queen, and thinking back on previous seasons and how the writers talked about how it's all been leading up to Dany becoming mad. It's kind of like a stretch for me to think in that way, but I believe it if that's how they're presenting it like that. I just think this season in general didn't do a good job up to the point in the 5th episode where she finally snapped. They could have definitely fleshed that out more, showed a little bit more signs of madness before it happened.
Agreed.
So,
If she was like losing the battle and then resorted to burning the whole city, I think that would have made maybe a bit more sense. But they were winning. I think that's why we all, as viewers, were like, well, this is just so heartless. Why would she do this? Because they were winning. They had won. It was over.
Yeah.
I think that's the part that nobody really bought. I think. I don't want to speak for everybody.
I didn't buy that it was that much that fast. Like, I would have preferred to see her snap just a little bit and have it go too far.
Yeah,
like,
okay.
Not like, I feel like it was a conscious choice for her to just burn the whole city. I would have rather see her start maybe a little fire and have it go, like
just a little fire.
I have a whole AU script that I would have liked for that episode that I've like written in my head. But this is what I found was like they made big decisions that had big consequences, but it's more interesting if there's small decisions that have big consequences.
Yeah.
Like, because that's what we saw through so much. Like, this whole War of the Five Kings was started by a letter.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And this whole thing came from it. Meanwhile, we've got, they just didn't follow through with like that way of bringing plot about. That's what I found disappointing.
Yeah.
They really skipped out on the subtle details that really brought huge waves to the show, and that's what kind of like dragged me into it in the first place. It wasn't these big cinematic battles. It was all like the politicking and like the backstabbing and manipulation that really brought me into the show. And they kind of like threw that away in the last 2 seasons, more or less. They kind of just like turned it into a Hollywood, action movie, really.
It looks like a TV show now. Everyone's like caked on in makeup now. Everyone has like crazy hair. Like everyone's hair is so immaculately produced, and that just wasn't a thing before, right?
Well, also, people are surviving a ridiculous amount of stabbing, which would, if we flash back to season 1, Ned Stark got stabbed in the leg, and he was like on like a stick crutch for like the rest of his life, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But Jorah Mormont, or even let's just say Jaime Lannister in his fight with Euron Greyjoy, gets stabbed twice, somehow makes it up a bunch of stairs and then down, and then he does die in rubble, but it's ridiculous he didn't die before that.
Step to like the side. Do you remember when Tyrion walked into that room? There was a whole bunch of area where it was not collapsed.
Yeah. It was like a bunch of bricks fell. They lay down on it, and then a fine layer of bricks covered them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he knew exactly which bricks to pull off because he found the hand and then turned to his right and pulled up a bunch of other bricks in a seemingly random direction, and they all just those are all the ones covering their heads. Yeah,
there's a lot of things in that season where you're like, wait a second,
Can I speak a little more to Daenerys here?
Sure, yeah.
I want to like give a shout out to Emilia Clarke because I think she did a good job, and I think like that final moment of her like trying to justify what she was doing to Jon Snow was like pretty good. Like the disillusion in her, I felt was like she sincerely seemed like she thought she was doing the right thing, like whatever. And I was like, okay, you're mad, but like I can see it. But I feel like Tyrion trying to like explain it to Jon Snow wasn't super great because like I don't know, it just seemed like he was like, she's killed people in the past and this and that, and like trying to be like, oh, like it makes sense that she went mad. And I feel like he was like kind of trying to explain that to us too, like you should have seen it coming, but like I still didn't. And it was like, I feel like she only killed bad people before, so it really, the whole killing innocent children and this and that did kind of come from left field still. I mean, I get that they're trying to like make it a little more believable and this and that, and like I said, I think her job was great, and I agree with everything people have been saying. Like a few more episodes we probably would have seen it more, but yeah,
totally. Oh yeah, but to your shout out of Emilia Clarke, I mean everybody in fact like they're such phenomenal, like I'm truly gonna miss Peter Dinklage, especially acting.
Totally.
Yeah, he's
great.
Phenomenal actor. Maybe not so much Kit Harington. I've been realizing Kit Harington's not that great an actor. He does a lot of pretty boy staring up. Like this season is in particular, he barely says anything.
Nobody pouts like Kit Harington.
He's very handsome.
Yeah.
You know what? He played the Jon Snow that was Jon Snow, though. I feel like I have the least qualms with his character because he just kind of was doing the whole thing all along. And that final season, it was just like, I felt like kind of like a callback to Ned almost. He's like wandering around King's Landing trying to do the right thing. Arya's there too, and like what are you doing?
Let's talk about Jon Snow then, now that we're off Daenerys.
Can I actually bring up a question about, I have a question for everyone about
I have a question too.
Okay, yes. Go for it, caller.
On from Danny.
Yep.
So this is like, especially the past 2 seasons, Dany's character like really progressed differently. I feel like from where she had from Essos, and everyone from Essos didn't really affect anything happening in Westeros. So my question is, if you took seasons 1 through 6, edited out all of Dany's storyline, and introduced Dany in season 7, how much would that change the story? Because how much of it happened before? I know it would still happen, but you wouldn't see it.
Well, but here's the thing: if that were the case, then all we'd have to believe about Daenerys Targaryen is what we were told about her, which is that she would burn the city to the ground. So if anything, omitting her for that many seasons would have made her doing it all the more believable.
But would that though? Because if Tyrion's coming back, because a lot of the stuff like was she a bad figure coming over? Like for
Well,
the Lannisters, they were.
Yes, yeah, and for the people of King's Landing, yeah.
Yeah.
Because of all the propaganda.
She has dragons. That's scary.
It's scary. They've been trying to kill her since season 1.
Yeah, and the last time there were dragons, like there was all kinds of trouble, right? So
like, yeah, I know. I'm not saying that like there would be no interaction, but like you just didn't see it at all.
Yeah.
Because like really, Jon just met her for the first time then. Like there's a lot of stuff that like there was no there was like Tyrion went over, yeah, but if he went over and you came back later, I just don't know how much of that stuff matters to like Dany's story in the past next 2 seasons. Right? So I think it's all cool and builds Dany's character, but Dany's character changes so much.
Well, I think it was
true, yeah.
It was important seeing like the juxtaposition of like her being so loved in Essos.
Yes.
And like so feared, and like, you know, they obviously preferred their own leaders in Westeros, like the people they were used to. So
yeah, and she couldn't get over that hump.
Yeah, she just and Jon was a huge detriment to her too, right? Just meeting him and his lineage. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about Jon, and what do you guys think about the Aegon Targaryen reveal and what that brings to the table?
It didn't matter.
Or if it doesn't matter at all.
It didn't matter.
It ended up not mattering.
So I have a question. I have a question for the group, because it was so. My girlfriend and I were watching it. Sarah and I were watching it, and we got so invested in the moment. I didn't exactly love the moment where he stabs Daenerys. We can talk about that later. But we were so 100% sure that we were about to see the dragon Drogon blow fire on him, and it like not kill him. And then and like was anyone else expecting that? Like we thought it was so clearly building to that.
He already let the dragon like let Jon go in there. Like they clearly had some weird bond because they're Targaryen.
Also, Jon in season 1 can get burnt, because that's how he kills the first White Walkers. He grabs
his hand gets burned
by the lamp or whatever, the torch.
And it hurts him though.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
dragon
fire would literally burn him alive. Yeah.
I think it would have been more interesting had it not been the dragon's choice to burn the throne, had that he and Jon had Drogon and Jon had that stare down moment and Jon had given the order. That would have been more interesting.
Yeah, that would have been good.
Oh,
cool,
just give more power, because like Jon was he was steamrolled this season.
Oh
he did nothing this season. Yeah, he did
nothing. Like
virtually
he
nothing.
didn't even get to be part of the like big council talk, which I think is a little bullshit.
Yeah,
you know?
But he looks so handsome.
I have one other question, and it's just about Tyrion. And did anyone else get really bothered by like how meta he was sounding the whole last episode?
Oh
Maybe
my
it's
god,
just me.
it all was.
What do you know?
What everyone loves.
They wrote a book called Songs of Fire and Ice.
Honestly, the quote, the quote for me that like covers that the last like half of that episode is, you know what's really important? Writers, a writer. Like that was the thing. It was just and it
It's like, dude, are you talking about the show you're in right fucking now?
Yeah.
I think he was.
I was glad he got like a winger speech at the end, though, like a community style winger speech. I was like, that had to happen. That's his equivalent to a sweet sword fight. Is he not a fighter? He's a speaker, right?
It's true.
Let's give some props to at least the last episode has Jon petting the dog. Petting Ghost.
Sure. Yeah.
I was staring at the screen and I was like, pet the dog! Pet that dog! And sure enough, finally pets the dog. So there you go. There's Jon's best moment in the entire season. Because he's pretty useless otherwise.
Did you guys want him to smile at all at the end?
Though.
Give us something, dude. Just fucking a smirk at the end. You're with your friends. You're up north where you should be.
Yeah.
Just fucking smile or something.
I think he did.
He gave the like Buffy at the end of the last season like smirk as the Hellmouth fell apart kind of smile. Like he gave us like that almost satisfactory smile.
God, yeah, it's the Inception top spinning for me, where I'm like, I get what you're going for here. I think it'd be more okay to tell us that he, as viewers, that he's on like a much earned like rest. He's happy now.
Okay, that's the impression I got from him, that he was just gonna live this wildling life that he kind of wanted with Ygritte, and that he would just become
be the new man.
King of the Wall, King Beyond the Wall. Yes.
Yeah, that's basically I think what's gonna happen.
Back to just really quickly on Aegon Targaryen, because Laura asked me this question last night. She said, "Does that even matter?" And I was trying to justify it, and my justification is, I think what the writers want us to believe is it's because Jon won't return his affection. That's like one of the big reasons why he doesn't want to, you know, make out with his aunt or like fall in love with her in that way, is another turning point of why she became crazy. It's just, yeah, I think that's the only point of the whole thing, right? Is that it's just a plot point to make Danny more crazy.
Yes.
That's a loaded plot point, though, to throw away like that.
Yeah.
Like,
It
so
is,
much more
yeah.
evidence.
Would you been as satisfied? Because some people, I was hearing that they wanted John to be sitting on the throne, but would that be
No.
too on the nose, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I thought, or what I read, which actually I probably would have been pretty satisfied with, was when Tyrion, or when Grey Worm brought Tyrion to like the council there, he would have also brought Jon, and then Tyrion or whoever reveals Jon's true nature, his true lineage, and then they offer him the throne, and he just refuses it, and then they go on and choose.
Yeah.
Infinitely better already.
I think what would have been cool, and I was thinking about this today, was if you have John come to that kind of meeting as well, but have him kind of, because obviously he feels like a big remorse of killing his queen, even though he knows she's evil. But if there's like kind of like imagery or side-by-side comparison of Ned getting his head chopped off and John getting his head chopped off, I think that would have been cool, because John has like a strong
thought that's
sense
where it
of,
was going.
yeah, he has a strong sense of
I
duty
thought
and
Tyrion was
honor,
gonna
right?
happen.
So it wouldn't be impossible for him to believe this, like, you know what, I still killed my queen. That's so wrong. I deserve to die. That's the way that it should go.
So John, though, something, and this is like the Batman movies, the Christopher Nolan ones. They talk about like, oh, you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become this villain. It may be an equally equivalent theme throughout Game of Thrones has been people that are reluctant to lead are often the best leaders. At least John is. They kind of get into that a lot. Of people who don't want authority often treat it with respect and use it properly. And they did go with that, but they just, I think, did it with maybe the wrong character, where it's like, I don't see Bran as being so reluctant about being the king. I see him as not even really being a human anymore. And I think that's the big sticking point for me. Which we
that's the thing though, Bran is like Jar Jar Martin in the story. He knows everything. He's the history of all of it. He carries all the lore, all of it, and they basically just put George R. R. Martin on the throne.
Ugh, that sounds awful.
I don't know about that.
I think Sam is
So we have a writer, Stenley. He wrote in the comments here, John being the real king also reinserted Varys to the show. So that's what he wrote. Yeah, sure. You know what? I kind of missed Varys when he went, because he is one of those schemers and politicky people that I like so much about the show. It's like when Littlefinger died. I'm like, oh man, I liked him.
But it was so satisfying when he died.
It's true. Let's move on to let's talk about Bran, because we're on the topic already. And we could talk about his entire arc of, do you guys think he deserved to be on the throne?
What arc? What are you talking about?
He was like important, built up, and then everyone was like, what is he? He's kind of useless. Night King, what's their connection? And then he was just like thrown in there. And also he was like, they already mentioned making him king of the north, and he's like, no, I don't want things. This and that, and like whatever.
I don't want anymore.
Wouldn't it make sense to put him more at like the Citadel and have him be like a human database rather than a king?
He already leaves his first meeting. He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna find out where."
Maybe the implication is that. Maybe the implication is that essentially, and Sarah and I talked about this a bunch. Is that Tyrion is basically the king.
I think so too. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
I see Tyrion making all the big moves and just getting permission from Bran. Like Bran's scanning his database. He's like, "Yep, that's a good decision based on history." They
come to him with a problem. Oh, there's this thing is happening. He looks back into the past and how they dealt with that previously.
Can I just say I love the memes of Sansa basically pointing out that Bran can't have children when nobody asked for that.
Yeah,
it's like, I think Bran should be king. He doesn't have a dick, or what? His dick doesn't work. I think that's really funny. But what do you guys think about? I think the biggest, and I'm gonna merge these topics together. Bran and the Night King and the promise of winter and what that all meant. We've been
nothing.
We've been hearing a lot about.
Winter, right?
Yeah,
winter's over, right?
Sounds
winter, right? Is winter over?
I don't know.
There's a spring coming.
Also,
go ahead.
So was Drogon covered in ash?
Yeah.
Was it?
He's a sleepy kitty.
Think so.
Okay.
I thought it was snow.
When I first saw it, I kind of thought it was snow, and then they would go to the dragon pit scene. There was no more snow anywhere.
Exactly.
I thought it was snow.
I also
but...
thought it was snow.
Huh.
Yeah.
I think it was the implication is that it's Ash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
I was just.
Yeah. Yeah, I especially with the episode, the Long Night, episode 3, with the whole battle and stuff. Like, Bran seemed like particularly not important to the battle. And what I read afterwards, I guess a theory, but it's probably true, is that Bran, when he was warging into the Ravens, was trying to lure the Night King towards him. But all it looks like on screen is Bran's doing nothing. And yeah, he just seems so useless in that fight, and he seemed so important to the overall story before that.
Well, he's the most passive character in the show at this point.
Yeah.
For the last 3 seasons, he's done almost nothing. They set up this great thing where, he's the reason Hodor is Hodor. Mm-hmm. And I had a similar theory about, maybe that's why the Mad King kept screaming about fire, is because we're going to see Bran jump back in time and mess with that guy's head by accident or on purpose or whatever. It was like, no, not really. The green seeing isn't important. The warging's not important. His connection with the Night King's not important. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Also, he didn't have to lure the like, if that was true, if he was trying to lure the Night King with ravens, he didn't have to do that. He has the mark on his arm where literally is like telling where the Night King, he should know where he is. We have Eric Cherokee in chat, Tyrion Lannister's brother. We have Bran orchestrated the burning of King's Landing by telling Jon about his heritage. He's Emperor Palpatine of the series.
Yeah, sure.
Sure, yeah, he totally let it happen, at right?
I mean, if they showed us, if he had any scrap of emotion or personality in any direction, I would think he was a way more interesting character. But I don't think monotone, true neutral is a choice. If it is his choice, I don't think that's one that results in him becoming this essence, this being of pure information who then makes for like the perfect king. I don't know. I think humans are, I think we're good enough to rule ourselves, and I just don't think of him as human anymore. So I think I found that part pretty unsatisfying. But like 70% of the stories I love.
His whole fantasy thing, like we had a few flashbacks in the last season, and then 0 this season. And it's like we still don't really know we know a bit about what he does, but we don't know any of his powers, so that part's also unsatisfying.
Well, and also Arya doesn't steal faces anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
There's all sorts of cool magic world building stuff that they're just like, fuck it, we don't know what to do with that, so just park it over there and hope people forget about it.
Well, again, it comes down to like them not really doing character development, because there's nothing emotional behind a lot of the choices that they're making, especially for Bran. Like, had the Hodor experience or him altering the path scared him enough to make him inactive, and then it was driven by fear, that's a much more interesting lesson for him to have learned, outside of being, well, now I can see everything, so I don't care, or I'm like, not invested.
It's the classic trope of with ultimate knowledge and logic, you lose all empathy and emotions, and it's just like, that's
no. If anything, I
true,
think people become more aware and
absolutely, I would agree.
You become
Ethan,
more human.
You were saying something,
Yes.
Ethan.
I was just saying. I think we have another caller on the line who
we do. Let's see.
Hello.
Oh my God. Caller, yes. Let me just get the Skype sound going on here. hang on. This is a little delayed. Oh my God. Yes, caller. Yes. Hello. Hi.
Hey, it's Rich.
Oh, Rich. Rich Hilborn, everybody.
Yeah,
hello.
that's me.
Welcome to the chat of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people in this call.
Should some of us start leaving? Like, should I bow out now? I've
got to go. I should probably rejoin this softball game.
Okay. Well, Victoria, thank you for being part of the chat. Any closing thoughts? We said a lot of critical stuff. How about something you liked about the show, or as a whole?
I'm just grateful for having the opportunity to invest in such a fantastic storyline and world. Like, really, in the end, we were given 10 years of, suspense and excitement and all that sort of stuff. So, rock on.
Cool.
Which is, and if not, go follow some fan theory videos and stuff like that on YouTube, because they're great. And I think that we can all kind of get our own headcanon going if we're that upset,
Yeah, we can write fan fiction.
For sure.
That's how Twilight was born, I'm pretty sure.
Right.
Yeah. So,
No, that's how
Yeah.
50 Shades was born.
Oh,
Yeah.
50 Shades, 50 Shades. Oh, God.
Yeah, out of Twilight fanfic.
50 Shades of Wildling. I don't know.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, thanks, Victoria. Bye.
Bye, guys. Bye.
Yeah. No, Angus, you could stay. Of course, we want to hear your voice. But Rich, hello. Thank you for joining the call, the Thrones call.
Yeah, I'm super excited to be here.
So we'll just continue where we left off, Rich, and feel free to chime in here because there's a couple things that I want to get through.
Okay.
But we have a juicy conversation that I want to bring up. We talked about the promise of winter and how that kind of amounted to nothing. But the Night King, I think that's the most critical thing I want to talk about too, is because he is a threat that has been built over the last forever. And we've been hearing a lot about the Night King and what the threat beyond the wall is. To me, the Night King represented the most interesting part of the show. I do love the politics and stuff like that, but to me the show was always, the politics don't matter. The real threat is out there and it's coming for us. So who cares about who sits on the throne? In terms of the Night King himself, what did you guys think? I don't think anybody was satisfied of knowing who the Night King was, but what do you guys think could have been different about that, or what you would have liked to have seen from that storyline?
I think one of the things that I really wanted to see about the Night King is more of like a grouping of like the kingdoms. Like it's kind of like, okay, like we need to go and deal with the Lannisters at King's Landing, but like we need to all group up for like 1 minute and go and deal with this one guy because he's going to destroy everything.
Right.
Isn't that kind of what happened?
I mean, then you have like just like half of them just like standing at King's Landing. Like it's just, but more of like an idea of like everybody just for like in the middle of a battle being like, oh wait, we need to turn and like deal with this right now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, if the battle happened later.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Yeah. Like if they were fighting before.
Even if...
I see.
I see what you're saying.
And then the Night King came.
Well, right, isn't the Night King and the whites and stuff like that, isn't it like a not so subtle metaphor for like global warming?
That's
Right?
what I've heard. That's what I've heard, yeah.
That's kind of what I thought of it, and it was just like, oh, this is the thing that we should all immediately address and put aside our fighting, and that didn't really amount to anything.
Yeah.
Well, that was the plot line.
We can actually succeed against global warming, like.
We can win, yeah. If we have a Valyrian steel dagger, we can totally win.
Not only can we win, we can win. Wrap that up in like an evening. The long night. Long night. My God.
Long night, yeah.
Very dark episode. I still have complaints about it. Let's see. Is Sam still in the call here? Sam.
I am.
Sam, I want to hear a little bit from you here.
Okay.
What did you think about Arya stabbing the Night King?
I wasn't opposed to it. I mean, I'm all for it. I mean, I have my bias because I'm like very pro Arya. Whatever. She's one of my faves. So I like it. I wasn't expecting it, which, felt good for a season that felt like it wasn't really surprising me much. I mean, again, it's one of these things where I watch it and feel something, and then the more I sit and look at things about it, I'm like, oh, did I, like, when I watched it, I was like, fuck yeah, like, I was so excited, and then the more I watched it, I'm like, yeah, it was like, nobody watching is back, like, where'd you come from, like, what's going on, and so, like, again, it's like, okay, well, maybe I just need to not think much about it, not read anything else into it, and then I can enjoy it,
If I could just add something, I loved that Arya killed the Night King. I think it is super surprising. If she did it using any of the skills we'd previously seen her develop, like hiding, like pretending to be someone else, I think would have been super fucking interesting. But instead it's like, nah, but then she jumps like 70 feet.
She stuck him with the pointy end.
With the pointy end.
Yeah.
Loved it.
And she's really sneaky and like stealthy, but yeah, right. It would have been cool to see a face. Although I don't know how you take a white's face or anything like that, but
I would have loved to see her. Well, then Bran would have to die. Or just walk around with no face, I guess. I would have loved to see her save Jon. I think that would have been interesting. Jon would have played some kind of part, and then she could have saved him, and I think it would have been equally badass.
Yeah, I wish she would have got to kill, like, she had this list she'd been building up for so long, and she had all these ambitions, and I wish I could have, like, got a little more from her, but I mean, all in all, she just kind of like did what was right and was a badass about it all the time. So she did that.
Her ending was nice. I liked her ending.
I loved her. Of anyone, I was like, yeah.
Her ending was definitely good, and I would definitely watch a spin-off of that for sure.
Oh, 100%.
I bet you better believe they're optioning that and being like, okay, who can we bring back? Ed Sheeran, get him back. Just melt his face.
Let's just hope it's not like a Joey from Friends.
It'll be 100%.
Or it'll be the Cleveland show. Okay, so we have a couple comments from the Facebook chat here. Sarah McKinnon wrote, just tuning in now, but what about all the prophecies? And Stenley wrote, and she used that move on Brienne. So very apt,
yes, from one previous...
the Brienne thing, yes.
Yep.
The prophecies, they talked about the green eyes, the blue eyes, the brown eyes, whatever. And I was reading on like, where was the green eyes? But I think in the books, Peter Baelish has green eyes. He has pale green eyes, so I think that's what it was, I guess.
I think that was a thing that they weren't setting up when they did that early. I think when they gave that first utterance of that prophecy.
I think that's one of the things about Game of Thrones though, is that it's just like on a level nothing really matters. Like, it's like, oh man, I love this character, but then they die, or like the prophecies never really come to fruition.
Right. Well, I think that's my main issue with the later seasons of Game of Thrones is the characters that we want, or like they don't take the characters away from us. They used to. They used to make you fall in love with a character and then take them when you least suspect it. But especially in the Long Night, when like Brienne and Jaime and Podrick, all these Samwell, Tarly, they all should have died in that battle.
Is anyone else amazed Grey Worm survived the whole show?
Yeah, it doesn't.
Shocked by that.
Yeah. And he's such a little bitch at the end. Honestly, I was not a fan of Grey Worm this episode.
Yeah.
No, I think that was another thing of like, oh, here's this character we like, and for reasons we could potentially understand, he's now like, well, he's always been a heartless killer. Like he's always been, but it's now he's just killing people we feel bad for. It's the same thing Dany was doing. She was always burning people to death, but they were always coincidentally people who were worse than her.
Right.
Yeah.
I think, right?
Yeah. Totally.
Great show though.
And the last thing I'll say about and we don't have to get into it, but the Night King, I really wish they explained, like, I guess he must be Targaryen or something because he survived the flames of the dragon.
No,
I was hoping.
He's cold.
I think that's just magic. Yeah,
he's just really cold. Okay.
I think he's supposed to be like one of the guys that they're doing one of the spin-offs about, like the prequels.
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, what the hell were his generals doing?
Nothing.
They did nothing.
That was disappointing.
They did nothing. My God.
Yeah, that was very disappointing. They looked cool for a lot of seasons, and I kept saying, I can't wait till these guys let loose.
Well, maybe it's too corny, but at a certain point, I was like, oh, okay, they made it to the Godswood. They've got like 12 generals. We've got like 12 hero characters we've been following. I guess we're gonna see like a face-off showdown. Brienne, Podrick, Jaime, they're gonna be fighting whites. No, White Walkers. No, not really. They just stood there and then grumbled.
Yeah. Let's see. Everyone's satisfied with Arya's ending. I think that was good. Although I did say after she killed the Night King, I felt like she was kind of, I don't know what. To me, Arya was more interesting when she was on her own. So when she got brought into the fold, it was so weird for me to get
watching a lot of stuff.
I disagree. I think she's much better when she's with the Hound.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, with the Hound, she's in. Oh, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the Clegane Bowl, if you will. Were people satisfied at least with that matchup? The Hound versus the Mountain.
Not really.
It was corny. It was corny, but it was as good an ending I think we could have hoped for that. Really,
it was like completely constructed from fan fiction. Like the first time I heard about the Clegane Bowl was reading it on Reddit. Like I don't know. It just didn't seem like that's how it should have gone. I'm not sure. I don't know what other people think about that.
I kind of loved it in the sense that it was so over the top and it felt like a final boss video game, especially how it was staged. It didn't feel very Game of Thronesy. Although,
Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But also, I do think there's the poetic nature of him like tossing each other both in the flames. That's Game of Thronesy to me. But the whole fight is kind of it's pretty over the top.
it could have gone either way, really. The more important scene was the one that preceded that with him and Arya, their last scene together, which was maybe one of the better interactions this whole season. I think, at least for me, it was a wonderful. It was a great like closure. Don't be like me. I'm consumed by hate. I have to go do this. I'm going to die. And it's like, I think. I liked that a lot. I think that was made it excusable. Like I rolled my eyes hard when the Mountain's like chest armor falls off for no reason and his gloves fall off. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Why is he shirtless all of a sudden?
Because he's beefy as fuck, man.
Yeah, they had to show that off.
I will say between that scene with
service.
Yes,
it was very fan servicey. Yeah.
With Sandor,
but I think they earned it. I think they earned it with that scene beforehand.
I also think they earned the scene with Tyrion and Jaime. That last interaction was probably one of the best scenes of the entire season.
Yes,
and the show, to be honest, like it really that moment felt earned between those two brothers.
It was wonderful, except for what Tyrion said when he called in just moments ago.
Oh yeah,
the part where Jaime says he doesn't care about the people. I'm like, well, that's not true.
Yeah,
that's not true.
Yeah, let's not have Tyrion Lannister call into the show anymore. He's probably drunk. Okay, let's move on. There's a couple more things I want to hit here, but what did people think about Cersei? She is this incredible actress, Lena Headey, and for me, I felt she was completely underused this season, and her motivations seem to have been lost on me. Like she's always been about wanting the throne and whatever, and she finally has the power, and she's not willing to let go. But she probably had a total of 20 minutes of screen time this entire season. It seems completely wasted.
And it was almost all standing on a balcony drinking a glass of wine.
Yeah.
Like respect, but
she was like living well, but like my God, that was wildly underused. Yeah, I
I think it's just
she got shafted this season.
I think like a lot of things that we're saying about this is like, yes, I kind of like, for me, I like the beats of this season. Again, we just need to see more to see it fleshed out.
It's interesting because we talked about. I think someone mentioned earlier. It's like if we had, if Cersei was more an active player in that last battle, I think Daenerys's turn would have made a lot more sense. Yeah. Like if Cersei was doing more to provoke her, like we know she would like really piss her off. Yeah. And just like make her illogically just like full emotion, just fuck it, I'm gonna burn this whole place down. I think Cersei could have played a bigger part in that, and I think it would have been really satisfying for both fans of Cersei and Daenerys. But both of them would make more sense.
I saw Emilia Clarke. She wrote something saying that she wished there was. Because she we'll talk about this in a second, but there's a whole petition online. But Emilia Clarke was saying if she were to like do more to the season, she would have liked to see more interactions between Cersei and Dany.
Yeah.
And it's like, for sure. Yeah. I want to see, because they're like the main threats to each other, right? So let's talk about this petition really quickly, because I forgot to mention it, because it's totally cringeworthy.
So dumb.
I think
it's really hurtful.
Totally, we're at over 1 million signatures for this.
Internet being mean.
Remake Game of Thrones kind of thing, and
it's the same thing that they were doing with Last Jedi. Like they like people raised money for that to like remake it. And it's just kind of like you can't just do that. Like it's
no.
Oh, word. Okay, I'll do that. Like
no one's gonna do that.
Just move on. If you didn't like it, move on.
It's very annoying. It just pains me kind of talking about it, but I wanted to bring it up because it's so big right now. It's such a thing, and the numbers are growing and growing and growing. Some people are comparing this last season of Game of Thrones to the last season of Dexter, which is completely, I think, ridiculous because last season of Dexter is really bad.
This series finale was still much better than the series finale of Dexter, and I watched every season of that show every week. It was
there's no comparison in my mind. Again, this season is disappointing in a lot of ways, but there's stuff to like about it.
Absolutely.
Can I ask a question too?
Yeah, go asking.
Sorry. I think I cut off Rich there though.
No worries.
Okay, sorry about that. Speaking on like the petition of like remaking this season, I was talking to a bunch of people, and I seem to be the only one who was kind of like falling off after season, like it kind of in middle of season 7. It just seems to be now season 8 is like the season everyone's like suddenly really, really upset about, even though if you think about season 7 where they were fighting the White Walkers north of the wall, all surrounded by like the zombies and shit like that, and then Benjen comes out of nowhere to save fucking Jon Snow. There's just like this Deus Ex Machina all over that shit too. But everyone's just really upset about this season for some reason. I'm not sure.
I think this season did more, right? This season made more like arguable mistakes. They made bigger choices.
Also the last season too. So if you ever mess up in a previous season, it's like, oh, maybe they can fix it in future episodes. But also I think it's the turn, right? The turn, the whole Dany turn that really turned a lot of people against the show. Which I think is crazy because for me, the Bells episode, episode 5, was probably one of my favorite episodes of the season.
It felt the most like Game of Thrones in the show for a long time.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Because I wasn't that big fan of like the Long Night, and the first episode I think could have been the first and the second episode could have been one episode. They could just squeeze that into one.
The episode where they built up for the Long Night, I actually really liked. Like with like Brienne getting knighted. I like me and my girlfriend were
felt
both
Game of Thronesy.
Yeah, we were tearing up and stuff like that. It was wonderful. It was a great episode. Got us so pumped. And then I think the Long Night is maybe. I think the Long Night maybe did more damage to this season than Bells did, in a sense of like it's such a big dip in quality, logic, reasoning, storytelling. It's very well made. It's like a spectacle, like I said earlier. But it's I don't know. I think a lot of people were like, wait, what? After that.
Okay, so we have Sarah McKinnon read in again. I have a feeling that someone could simply re-edit the season using the same footage to greater success. It changed from character-driven to plot-driven writing, biggest impact.
Yep, absolutely.
Let's move on quick again, because we're almost closing at the end of the show here. Sansa, we didn't touch on her.
Great.
Yes!
I like her.
What does everyone think of Queen of the North?
Queen of the North!
And
Queen of the North!
Like a separate... Absolutely. I was so stoked. I know like I heard a couple of people like really pushing, oh, Sansa should be on the Iron Throne, and I couldn't put it into words why, but I'm like, I'm not really feeling that. But I once she had her own kingdom, I'm like, that's why she needs her own place to rule, not this previous. You know what I mean? Like she needs like her own domain. Yeah. Exactly. She belongs in the North.
The North, the Queen of the North. Yeah, totally.
So that part was great. Yeah.
The whole montage at the end was great with all three of them like walking through their respective like storylines.
Yeah, like suiting up and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was
the pack survives, man. The pack survives.
I actually have a question about
before you're actually no, go ahead, go do your question.
It's more so just like with the show ending as a whole. I feel like because like Sansa makes a great point with Bran's dick not working. Like, not having any kids.
Hang on. Does it not work, or is it just because he can't like? I feel like it could work.
I feel like he couldn't work for multiple reasons. Not only because he's paralyzed, but also because he's not a human being anymore. He's the three-eyed raven.
Okay.
But that's more me. Like I may be reading too much into that. But what I'm getting at is that like they've bought themselves basically 50 years, I think, of like a good generation of peace. I think the kingdom's gonna thrive again, but we still have seen all these new lords, and we know what kind of shit they're gonna get up to. There's no fucking way that in the next generation of people after that aren't gonna start the same fights over again. It's gonna happen, right?
Hopefully by that point.
Tyrion said that. He's like, ask me in 10 years or whatever.
Oh my god, I thought that was them pitching a reunion. We'll never see each other again. Well, don't be so sure. Maybe we'll do another show.
Okay, that's not what I thought.
Hopefully by the time that Bran's about to die, they'll have like Sam will have that whole democracy thing figured out, and like
exactly.
They all laughed at him.
They laughed at the democracy, and I was like, oh, great joke of like Edmure Tully just like being like a total goober.
So who?
but then they laughed at democracy, and I'm like, I don't find that as funny.
How did you guys feel about Sansa just shutting up her uncle there?
Oh, that was great.
Amazing.
I loved it.
Yeah.
It's like she's like full on got agency now, and she's like running the show. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. Can I touch on Sansa for a sec and this whole talk? Yeah. Did anyone else? I thought it like I found it weird that she was just like, they're all like, oh yeah, I, like Bran for king, whatever. And she's like, actually, we're just gonna be our own thing now. And it's like nobody said anything about it. They're all just like, yeah, cool. And
they don't want to argue with her. Yeah.
Yeah, this isn't like a topic of discussion at all. Like,
yeah,
we hadn't seen fucking that Yara this whole season. She's just like, yep, cool. I'm like, what?
Also,
yeah.
Robin from the Ale.
From the Vale,
yeah.
So handsome.
And
so
then
actually,
like that random guy from Dorne just like showing up.
Oh, the new prince.
There's another random guy that didn't know where he was from.
So Sam makes a really good point though, of just like, oh, that just happens because the show's ending. They can't have people argue. I thought I had the exact same feeling when it cuts to Jon's cell and Tyrion just says, "Eventually, Grey Worm agreed," and I'm like, Grey Worm is so like stoic and like single-minded that I'm like, I have a hard time believing that he would agree to that, because we've seen how driven he is and how like truly like narrow-minded he is in the sense of justice and stuff like that. It's always got to come at the end of a sword.
It's so weird that
don't worry about it. They swept that under the rug.
Yeah, it seems weird that he kind of just let Jon be prisoner for that long. It really would have seemed like he would have killed Jon, to be honest. So
did anyone?
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. Just did anyone think they were building to a fight between Jon and Grey Worm?
I could have seen it. I could have seen it happen, but
I didn't. I thought it was. I figured it was like a. I figured it'd be something similar to the Clegane Bowl, where it would feel fan servicey, but it's just based on like the cinematography, where like the way they had shots for each other, and I'm just like, oh, are these two gonna fight? And it's like, no, they're gonna be grumpy at each other and then part ways, never to see each other again.
I thought maybe they were gonna blow up. Oh yeah, that's what I thought at the end when they're like Grey Worm's like looking down at him and he's loaded on his boat to like get taken back to the Watch. I was like, oh my god, are they gonna like blow up his boat out of spite and everyone's gonna die? Like I was still waiting for some twisty like, no moment, but it didn't happen.
I want to give props to, actually, you brought a point of the cinematography in the show. Like there's some beautiful stuff. One of my favorite shots in this entire series is with in the last episode with the dragon wings and Dany. I was like, cool. I was like, props to that. That's really good stuff.
I liked it. I liked it a lot. I have a feeling though, like I can't imagine someone. I don't see how you could like that shot and then not also like the shot of the Clegane Bowl with the dragon flying across the sky and stuff like that. It's just so very fantasy. It's such like a single frame of fantasy.
Yeah.
That I loved both of them, but I could see people having similar complaints to that shot. A little corny.
The last thing I want to bring up here is we have a couple side characters. I'm going to just list them off here. Brienne, Davos, Sam, and Bronn. I don't even want to give too much airtime to Bronn because I think his storyline was completely useless in this entire season.
Come on, man.
What do you wanted?
Yeah, it's
that's
just
my boy.
Bronn's just the voice of reason.
Is he?
Though?
I don't know if he's the voice of reason. I think he's a realist.
Selfish reason.
Yeah.
He's a realist. Yeah.
He could have not been in this entire season, and it would have been the same, right?
Yeah.
True.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what they should have done, and I don't know why they didn't, was when the dragon attacks the gold caravan like last season, he should have got killed there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Totally.
He to 100% should have died. Like he didn't do anything of value after that, and he would have gone out at a peak where we all loved Bronn the most. I think at that point, and he was shooting arrows at dragons. It's like fuck, he's gonna get killed.
Exactly. Stanley wrote in again. He said, "Question: now that the North is officially independent, do they still get a seat at the big council? Like when Bran wargs into wind and blows away forever, does Santa get to vote for his replacement?" I don't know how to answer this question.
I don't
Probably know.
I think it's a no, right?
No, I don't think she would because she's not part of the Six Kingdoms. That's my guess. It's a good question.
I don't think Santa can vote. That's just me.
No, because she actively, I think she gave up her right to vote on it when she's like, well, we're going to go be our own kingdom.
Yeah.
So I don't give a shit.
Also, he totally wrote Santa and not Sansa. So I was literally thinking about Santa Claus.
He does get a vote.
He's in the Arya spinoff.
Oh god.
He was the real Night King.
That's right. Okay, let's see. I think we're pretty good here, eh? Is there
favorite moments?
let's just say closing thoughts and favorite moments of the entire series. Of course, we've been, all of us together have been talking about this season pretty critically and stuff like that. But I think at the end of the day, I'm truly going to miss Game of Thrones. It's kind of a, I think it's going to be one of the last, someone put it really well online, like water cooler shows where after you watch the episode, you can talk about this with a friend from work. And there's a lot of people chiming in. I mean, look at this. We have 7 people in the same voice call right now at the exact same time to talk about this show, right?
Yeah.
The last time this has happened, for me, I can remember is Breaking Bad. So the landscape of TV has changed so much in the last couple of years. Will we get another Game of Thrones? Who knows, right? So
Stranger Things, I feel like kind of.
But it's a show that you watch all at once. You know, you don't wait to watch
that's true. There's no
unless streaming services start doing that again. Unless they like release 4 episodes and then wait and then release another 4.
Yeah,
I would actually be for. I'm okay with some time in between. I don't
digest.
I might be turning against binging as a whole, as a way of consuming media. It feels kind of like it's very different. But no, Tung, I think it's a great question. I don't know what show will fill the void. I do hope that we get some good fantasy shows now because Game of Thrones made it work. But I know we're gonna get a ton of shitty fantasy shows first.
Yeah, that's true. Stenley says, "Isn't Santa the real King of the North?" Yes, he is. Yep. And I wrote King of the North Pole. All right. Let's see here. To close the show, I'm going to ask each one of you, and then you can get out of here. I'll start with you, Rich. What is your closing thoughts on Game of Thrones, and what's your favorite part, or like favorite sequence, or favorite moment?
I think Game of Thrones was a real like benchmark TV show. Is it like it's hard to make fantasy work on TV, and I thought that they did it very, very well. And I hope that like there's more shows like that. One of my favorite moments is just like really in like the first season. Like I think it's just like it might even just be like the first episode. It's just like literally like them like finding the wolves out in like the wolf pups out in like the woods. I was just like that is such like a nice family moment, and then it just like goes so downhill so quickly just from that moment. It's just kind of like, oh yeah, we go out into the woods and we find these pups, and it's just like, oh no, now everything's terrible.
Right.
I really like that moment.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Rich, for calling in. Appreciate your thoughts. And let's see, Sam. What do you got? Give me some thoughts here. Closing thoughts.
So I feel like a little put on the spot with your favorite moment question, because like I hadn't really decided.
It doesn't have to be your most favorite, but give me something you liked.
I'm trying to think of a moment where I like stood up in joy, because like a lot of the moments that come to mind, I'm like, oh, that was terrible. It was terrible. But I really, really liked like a season or 2 ago when Sansa and Arya worked together to get rid of Littlefinger. That was a really big like fuck yeah like moment that I loved. Watching him get what was coming, you know. So that was cool. All in all, yeah, like as much as this last season was overwhelming and I felt a little upset about how little I cared anymore after caring so much for so long. But all in all, yeah, I think it was a great show, and I'm happy to have had it. And if anything, like watching this season has made me more like anticipating the books and reading more. And exactly, like you can read fan fiction, this and that. I'm like, it's such a good story, and the characters are so inherently like interesting in themselves that I'm like, I would read other stories and more about it anyways. So
nice.
It's like a good setting, you know.
I personally can't read those books. I tried. I find them very hard to read. Same with like Lord of the Rings, but
they are hard.
I'm happy that people like them. And I just want to add, the people who are upset about the ending, it sounds like it's going to be very similar to George R.R. Martin's ending. So you shouldn't be too upset. I guess he has time to change it. He might be like, oh fuck, people hated that, I might change it.
They didn't hate the ending though. They hated the way it like came across.
Some people actually hated the ending though. I wonder if Bran will sit on the throne by the end of it. Last question for you, Sam, before you get out of here. And Rich, if you're still here too, to add on to the who would you have preferred to be on the throne, not counting Bran? They could be dead or alive.
Gendry.
What?
Oh shit.
Okay.
I was gonna say Sansa, but like she already kind of got hers, so I don't really have a backup answer to that.
Fair enough.
I thought he was gonna win so bad.
Fair enough. Hef, what do you got, my friend?
So I feel like one of the biggest things we talked about today was the shortness of this last season, and what I feel like is what I loved most about Game of Thrones was the journey. And I feel like when we got to this end destination, we didn't have enough journey in it.
Give us more journey. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and I was kind of. I feel like they really they had we have all these different destinations we need to hit in this last season. And they just went to them as quickly as possible.
Totally.
And that's kind of what killed killed it for me, because there were still moments that really pulled me in, and really I want more of that. I want 15 minutes of this. And one moment in particular that I really liked from the last season was after Bran is talking to his king, the king's council there with Tyrion and Bronn and Sam, and they're all, and Tyrion setting up his chairs, and then all of them come in separately. I could watch that all day, just them talking and governing King's.
Totally. Yeah.
Just those characters, and how it reminds me of how much I really love the characters, and that's what I really like about the show.
That's cool.
Nice.
And that's what I felt was missing this last season.
Thanks, Hef.
Bits of it.
Who would you want to sit on the throne?
Hot Pie. Get him.
Yes. Damn it, you stole my answer. I gotta think of something better. Ethan, thanks for being part of the show as well. Same questions to you, my friend.
So I got two. Well, Game of Thrones, first off, was a fantastic show. It really scratched that Lord of the Rings itch that I fell in love with as a kid, and I fell in love with this as an adult. So it kind of mirrored that love of fantasy, brought me a lot of great moments. But I have two moments in this show I remember distinctly. First, spoilers, when Ned Stark died.
Yeah. Dude, you spoiled it.
Yeah,
how dare you?
When he died, all bets were off, and I knew this shit was going to be different because they had the balls to or in the books anyway, they had the balls to kill off this main character you thought was going to be all the way through the book, right? So I really loved that. But the second one was probably even more so, was the Red Wedding.
Damn it! You took my answer again.
Well, okay. it's for a different reason.
Yeah.
That was the first episode I watched with my mom and my sister. They had never seen Game of Thrones before that episode.
Wow.
And they're like, "Oh, what's all the fuss about this show?" I'm like, "Well, come down." I was living at home at the time. Come down and watch it, right? So we turn on the TV, HBO, and we get to that one scene, and I forget her name, but Robb Stark's wife there gets stabbed in the stomach, and then all hell breaks loose. I'm laughing about how outrageously violent this is, and my mom, my sister, just in horror of this show.
Right.
What is this show that you're watching? Why are you watching this? But
did they keep watching?
Yeah, my mom did actually.
She's like, I really like this violence thing.
Yeah.
Awesome, man.
I actually started watching it with my dad too, so it's.
See, Game of Thrones brings families together.
Yeah, brings families together, exactly.
They tear them apart and bring them together.
Yep. And Ethan, throne. Who do you want sitting on the throne besides?
I want Grandma Tyrell sitting on the front.
Lena.
That's good. That's good.
That's just so cool, man.
Cool. Awesome. Angus, bring us home here, baby.
Buddy. So, my overall thoughts on the series.
Yep.
I think it's overall quite good. I think the last two seasons are a little rocky. I'm surprised with how well they tied it together in the last episode. I truly didn't think it was going to come out that good. Not to say it was perfect. It's still fine. But I really liked it. And I think that the very fact that we have a show like this that we can, fantasy people and people who aren't into fantasy, because I love D&D and video games and shit like that. It gets people from both sides of that kind of media talking to each other. People from the outside coming in, giving everyone's speculating and all this fun stuff around it. And I think maybe that was also part of the downfall, was how fun it was to talk about the show and put forward your own theories. But yeah, no, and for moments, my God, the most Game of Thrones moment ever for me, I think, was the Mountain and the Viper. It was the moment.
Oh yeah,
that's sick.
Honestly, it almost made me stop watching the show. I loved Oberyn so much, and to watch his head get crushed in like an egg or a watermelon under a sledgehammer, it was really upsetting.
You kind of got to see that moment again with
yes,
Sandor versus the Mountain, right?
And it had a very visceral reaction from me. But if I'm going with just fist pumping, hell yeah, this got me so excited, got me back into the show, was Hard Home. That's my favorite episode.
Totally.
And just the moment of when we all figure out that we all figure out together that the Valerian steel swords can stop the White Walker weapons, and it's like even the White Walker's surprised. The White Walker shows just a slight bit of personality. He seems surprised, and I'm like, holy shit, he didn't know that was going to happen. John didn't know that was going to happen, and it's just at this great moment, and it got me so fucking excited. And I think that leads into like, oh well, the Night King stuff doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So that's a bit of a bummer for me, but that is still my favorite moment in the entire show, probably.
Awesome. And throne, who you want to sit on the throne?
So this is a really lame, but I'm just very happy with the symmetry of like the story they set out telling, and I would have liked to see John on it, but in a very reluctant state, kind of what they're doing with. Like, I would like to see that whole punishment thing of like, well, no, this is your punishment, is you need to, because they, even with Tywin talks about what makes a good king. A good king listens to their advisors. A good king is not the smartest person. They don't know everything, but they know how to make the right choices. And instead, we got a guy who knows all of human history. And it's like, oh, okay, well, so I guess the best king is a person with supreme knowledge. So I would have liked to see John. I think they could have done it with a ton of other characters. I will say, I had heard a theory online. I heard that there was a leak and someone said that Bran ends up on the throne, and I got really bummed out because I couldn't think of anyone I wanted to see on the throne less than Bran. and actually, with a lot of discussion with my girlfriend after it ended, I'm coming around to it more, but I'm still not a huge fan of the choice.
Fair enough. Well, thank you, Angus, for being part of the show. I don't know what else to add to this. You guys kind of summed it up here.
What about you? What are your favorite moments?
I'm going to go ahead and say, Hef, you made a really great point about the journey. Really love the journey in the show. I think some favorite moments of mine, I'll just say two. One of them is the Crown of Gold, harkening back to season 1. I thought that was badass and frightening as hell. And a true kind of like, oh my God, this show is super insane and really going for it here. Okay. And I really loved the battle on the wall. The battle on the wall. Where Ygritte dies, and there's like a really good. This is where John for me was at his peak. You know, he had a lot of agency in the story, as well as I felt the most for his character. Whereas seasons went on, I'm like, who is this character supposed to be now? He's kind of peaked, and he's just kind of coasting on him being handsome and him just like being a complete doofus right up to the end, you know.
I mean, it's a really good example of someone else freaking out and him having to take charge out of necessity. He doesn't want to. It's a great episode. It's wonderful.
Totally. But my final thoughts on Game of Thrones is really, like, honestly, faults and all, I think this show's complete worth watching. And you know, there's this. For sure, there's shows that like I won't recommend Dexter, for example, because that's something that's like, if you're gonna see a show to its completion, that's definitely not worth it. But Game of Thrones, you know, rocky bumps and all, it still ends, and I was satisfied enough for what they built. So. You know, I definitely am frustrated by the last season, but I definitely don't hate it. And with that said, I think don't be a dick, you know, don't lash out to the hardworking writers and producers and the actors who made this show for us. I think it's a really shitty thing to do, to shit on someone else's art. So if you think you're better at that, then take a stab at the, you know, TV realm, or be a writer yourself, I guess, and prove everyone wrong. But I don't think you should discount people's work. I think it's okay to critique about it, but don't, you know, sign a petition. It's just kind of lame. And with that, that's it. That's the show, everyone. Thanks for joining in on this special episode of Talkin Tuong. Thanks to Angus, Ethan, Ryan Heffernan, Big Hef, Rich, Samantha Leggett. We had Victoria Luloff call in earlier. We had a couple people chatting with us tonight, and yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So thank you, everyone. Totally. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.